Okay, so hello everyone, good evening, and thanks Ankush for giving a short introduction about the course. So just to give you a brief again, just to reiterate, myself Gaurav and then Pratyaksh. So we two will be handling this entire Power Automate training. Okay, so I guess few of the members, Mitali and some of her friends, they are already the paid members of this training sessions for which we are starting. Today is the very first lecture of it. Okay. And going forward, during the entire curriculum, it has been designed in such a way. It will, I think, people, can you be on mute so that we can interact in a better way? Okay. So, Uh, the entire curriculum has been designed in such a way that it will be a two-way interaction session. It won't be we would be just giving you demonstrations and we will be sharing the videos and all. It will be kind of a session where we would be demoing it something, creating it live in front of you, and we will be free and open to any queries or any questions which you have from your end. And plus, we will be also guiding you across in terms of any kind of blockers which you face or any kind of concepts which you have not understood properly. All those things will be taken care, and we would be having this entire concepts of Power Automate being covered across some 40 lectures. Okay, 40 odd hours which will be covering the different concepts. Okay, and now what are those different concepts which are basically we are going to cover up? So in this, we'll start with the major focus will be Power Automate Desktop, of course, which is for the RPA automations technology. Okay, but apart from the Power Automate Desktop, we would be also touching up the basis upon the cloud flows. How do we manage everything? How do we trigger? What are the environment concepts of management, licensing, provisioning? So we will be covering from the Power Automate perspective as well, and from the Power Automate Desktop perspective, we'll be going deeper into it, right, with the Excel automations to your web automations. How do we integrate the scripting? How do we integrate some external applications? And all those technologies which we touch upon during the RPA will be discussed. And whatever the actions which are available in Power Automate Desktop will be giving and demonstrating it to you. Environment management, solution export, import, Outlook or automations. So these will be the topics which will be covered throughout the entirety of this course. Okay. So this was a just brief or a kind of a short introduction for all the people, like what we are going to discuss over the next classes into this entire session or for this Power Automate, the entire the lecture which we are going to schedule. Any questions, any queries from anyone? They are free to ask before we actually jump into the main agenda.
So basically, hi guys, Pratik this side. So basically, not only this, onto the cloud also, we will discuss about the connection references, custom connectors, and AI builders also. Okay, these would be the topic that we'll also cover.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thanks, Pratik. Thanks for adding that. Yeah, so those things will be also which will be covering and will be demonstrating it to you. Yeah. Okay. If we do not have any question, let us just start with a brief introduction about myself, and then I'll just pass it on to Pratyaksh for a kind of brief introduction what kind of experience we carry. Okay. So like for me, I have total of like plus years of IT experience, and throughout my 9 years of experience, I have been associated with automations. So started with a Python automation, and then 7 plus years I have been into the RPA technology. Basically started with Automation Anywhere tool, and then 5 plus years I have been into Power Automate. I have close to around experience of 80 plus bots migrations using Power Automate Extra, where few have been migrated and few have been the like end-to-end scratch development. And also in my current role, I have been working as a solution architect where we design and develop the end-to-end integrations, features, the testing, deployment methodology. Okay, so all the entire project life cycle is being defined and designed under me. Okay, for the different businesses which I work upon. So that's a brief introduction about myself technology wise, and I'm also like PL 200, PL 500, and PL 900 certified. Okay. So yeah, Pratesh, maybe I'll request you to if you can just give a brief intro about yourself, and then we can get started with the session.
So myself, Pratish Garg. So I am having 5+ years of experience in the IT industry and 4+ years of experience in Power Automate desktop as well as Power Automate cloud. And again, I am good in AI Builder. And then right now I have 2 years of experience in UiPath. And I'm certified with the PL 500 and PL 900 also. Okay. Yeah, Gaurav, carry on.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Pratesh. Okay. So let us first start with a very basic questions. Why? What do you guys feel like? What is the major reason why you all have tried to join this session and learn about Power Automate? Okay, what is so like kind of attracting towards it, all of you towards Power Automate? Can anyone just give some answers? Anyone, guys? Let's make it a two-way session. It should not be like we are only speaking.
Hey, hi Gaurav, Sachin this side.
Yes, Sachin.
Yeah, see, I'm eager to learn the Power Automate because nowadays major companies are migrating to Power Automate from UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
reason I want to learn Power Automate.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay. Any other
Yes,
answers?
yes, power automation is new technology. So that's why we upgrade our knowledge. So that's why we are joining.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, for the guys like they are mentioning it's a booming technology or they were migrating boards. So, are you already having some kind of exposure to the RPA tools, any other RPA tools? Because that will kind of
Or
majorly help us in defining
automation
the crux
anyway.
of the automation anywhere. Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay, fine. And Sachin, you are having exposure in UiPath?
No, same. I'm having Automation Anywhere exposure and as well as I'm working with the .NET technology.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So more or less, can I say that the people over here they have some exposure to the RPA technology, any other tool, let it be automation anywhere or UiPath, you all have got some exposure, right?
Not
Yes.
exactly, Gaurav. I don't have any prior RP experience,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I have learned UiPath, and now I'm keen, like interested in Power Automate as well, just to uh, just to open up my RP portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, got it. Yeah, thanks, Sriram. Okay, so just for all information, okay, as Mitali also mentioned in the chat, like it's a booming technology, and people are also migrating from other RPA tools to Power Automate. Okay, now they are like we will keep that architecture and the other aspects of Power Automate, uh, park it aside for later discussion. Just to give you an insight why it is so demanding and why people are migrating towards it. Okay, so there are three major reasons for it. Okay, what I feel based upon my kind of understanding and what we have seen across our organizations. First thing, the credibility and the support security of Microsoft. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that any organizations, okay, whether it's a small or a big one, they do have Microsoft products. And when they have Microsoft product already available with them and you provide certain offerings as a package, okay, so that has, with the Microsoft trust which they back upon, it creates a kind of inclination in when we compare with the other RPA tools like UiPath automation anywhere. So anyone who is trying to adopt RPA technology nowadays, if they have not, and also from the licensing and that perspective, the thing that okay, with Microsoft trust we can have some infra, some technology which is more reliable, which can have a better support or the ecosystem, and the infra costs are quite less when we compare it with the other RPA tools. So that's one of the major reasons why people are trying to just migrate from the other RPA tool to the Power Automate technologies. Okay, that's what we have seen in the past. Also, when we talk about the technology interface, the Power Automate itself is not just a standalone tool. it has got so many integrations with the other offerings of Power Platform. Okay, when we have a kind of a UI based development using Power Apps, some AI based technology, then the other Microsoft suites of applications, you have Azure everything. So the whole circle or the technologies what we can integrate and automate using Power Automate, the umbrella is so large, okay, that is basically driving business in terms of adopting Power Automate. Okay, so when they adopt it, they think that okay, they are more or less other applications which we can kind of automate very easily instead of going with any automation anywhere tool or UI part tool where the binding can be little more cumbersome, it can be little complex in nature, but with Microsoft Power Automate, it can be reduced. We'll see how this actions and how this integrations are little easier and can be seamless integrations with Power Automate compared to the other tool. We'll have it covered in the during the course of our entire 40 hours of a lecture or the sessions which we are going to plan. Okay, fine.
Sorry to
So,
interrupt.
mhm,
I learned UiPath a little bit. While giving interviews, they were asking about this integration with SharePoint. Do you have any knowledge and like that?
mhm,
So with
mhm.
Power Automate, will we be learning on it?
Yes, yes. So, see, this is again one of the reasons what I was explaining the integration with the other services. So when you have like UiPath or automation anywhere tool, no, the integration with SharePoint, Teams, or your other Microsoft applications, okay, such as your Azure DevOps and all, it is little complex in nature. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they are either you need to use some custom APIs, you need to call the endpoints using client ID, client secret, and then fetch the data. Nowadays, at least I can see that there are some few options of you can directly exchange information from the SharePoint. They are directly action items available now. Okay, but with Power Automate, all these features are inbuilt. You do not need to call any external APIs or configure something. These actions are pre-built for you, and you can just you consume those actions and you can directly integrate with any of the SharePoint list which you have access. Okay,
Okay.
so these
Okay.
kinds of all the Microsoft applications, okay, not just SharePoint, your Teams, Outlook, then your Forms, Azure, whichever Microsoft application you talk about, the integration is directly and it's native to it. When I say native, it can be directly kind of integrated using the 300 plus inbuilt connector, which Pratyaksh has also put into the chat. So there are lot many connectors. When I say connector, these are the wrappers or the proxies around the APIs using which we can directly connect to any service. We'll go through it. How what are these connectors and how do we connect it? Okay, so these are the
Oh,
features which is driving the business to adopt Power Automate.
okay.
One more
Thank you.
question. Hello.
Hmm. Yeah.
One more question on same point. Do we cover the creating connector part?
Yes. Yes.
Because one
So
of the
any
interview they are asking for this connectors. Do you have the experience on creating connector
Yes.
using Power Automate?
Yeah, Kanchan. So actually, we have 300 inbuilt connectors in Power Automate, but
Okay.
again, we can create a custom connectors also. If we don't have any API that is in Power Automate inbuilt, so we can create
Mm-hmm.
our custom connector also. So we will give that demo for custom connectors also. We have many ways to create custom connectors also.
Okay.
yes.
So we will go into it
And
also
okay.
in this
And
training.
one more point I have seen for AI wala part. So are we, because whatever I understanding that according to my understanding, this Power Automate required the certificates or key, some license key for using AI things. So do we have this opportunity to learn here, or we have just getting demo of
This
it?
is this is not a that AI thing because here this is a AI builder actually that is need a license for Power Automate only, and
Mm-hmm.
AI builder will you is using for extracting the data from the documents, whether it is PDF data or any text file.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that we will cover, but it needs premium license in Power Automate.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So these AI capabilities, what Pratyaksh was talking about, no? So they are certain predefined AI capabilities which we can consume by having some external licenses. So we need to procure it based upon our requirement. So we can directly. Outside the ambit of AI Builder, if we want to use any other AI applications or a full-fledged AI technology, so that's something we have to integrate it again. That would be a different feature altogether. But it has got some like inbuilt AI models, okay, which we can just customize according to our requirement. We can train the data and then extract the information out of that. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure about Power Automate. Comparing it with UiPath since I knew few topics in UiPath. Previously, when I was learning UiPath, I attended some other training in the same way. So in that, they didn't cover regex or data manipulation and all, which is mostly they're asking in interviews. So in the
Mhm.
similar way, is there any advanced topic that would not be covered in this, and later we have to learn it by our own?
So see, Madhavi, just to answer your questions on that, two points over here. First thing is, whatever the regex or the custom or advanced options which we plan, that will be anyhow covered. Okay, we'll have sessions where this advanced features or advanced capabilities of Power Automate will be covered. So that's one thing. Apart from that, the whole idea of making this session interactive is that whatever the doubts or whatever the things you want to learn, okay, let's say we have gone through some sessions and the topics which were covered, you want to have some more visibility or more understanding in terms of its capabilities to full extent, you can always raise those queries, you can put forward your queries or concerns, and we will work on it and will provide you with a solution on that. Okay. So it's not that we have just designed a curriculum and we will be kind of very stringent with that. Anything which we get a suggestion from you guys, will be open to have will be flexible enough to adopt those changes. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Fine. So let me just share my screen. Okay. I'll just quickly explain you like how do we start interacting with Power Automate. Okay, what's the first step and all those things. I'll just start with it. So let me know once my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, okay. So whenever we
Uh,
start with Power Automate Desktop,
just a second, Gaurav, there is some disturbance. If it is at Rajshri and you can mute her.
Pratesh, can you just mute people? I think from
No,
the sound is
Gaurav, you only have to mute because only one person can be the host,
okay. 1 second.
right? So host can only share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So no problem. Whenever you see some disturbance, you see at anyone's end, you can mute that person.
Yeah, sure,
Right.
sure. Okay, yeah. So, guys, whenever we talk about Power Automate, okay, so Power Automate is divided into two parts. First is your Power Automate Cloud, which we call as flows, okay, and the second part is Power Automate Desktop, which is basically a more kind of a UI flow option, a RPA capability, okay. So under these two parts, there are certain services or like kind of business automations, small business automations using the APIs or some cloud services, which can be performed using the cloud flows. Okay, so this is the interface where we have the cloud. So for logging into that, you can just type make.powerautomate.com. Okay, you can just type it over here, and once you like clicking, you would be allowed to log in your if you're using a org account, your business account, you can just provide your credentials, and it will be able to by default log into it. Okay, so there's no license or there's no added access or approval which would be required for it. If you are working for an organization, if they have a Microsoft 365 license, a business license, you should be able to access this particular URL free of cost. Okay. So now when you log into the cloud flow interface, you can see there are a lot of options on the left hand side, and then you can see something on the top right and the other options. So what I'll do is I'll quickly just take you through the options and what are these features and what we need to actually look into this kinds of thing. Okay, whenever we are going to learn and understand about the this tool. Okay, so to start with on the very top bar, okay, if we can see, so these are basically for search. If you want to start with something or you just want to query about some parameters, you can just click on search over here. We'll take this up later. If you see over here, we have this something called as environments. Okay, this is a very key concept of Power Automate. The whole understanding or the whole point of having the environments is we define our processes or the automations which we are doing, all those components related to our solutions are being stored in different containers. Okay, these containers are nothing but our environments. Okay, so these environments are the basically the storing block. Like consider you are storing, you are creating some components or you're getting some automations, and you are storing into a particular environment. So those kinds of environment, there are certain DLP policies, there are certain restrictions, there are certain accesses which the administrator will maintain, and we would be able to use certain options over there. Okay, we'll go through all these details and all what does the environment means, what are the privileges, DLP in detail. But just to give you an insight, okay, what does this environment mean over here? So by default, whenever a person logs in, it will be a kind of a default environment. Default environment over here, it means that there would be very limited access to the people. Okay, they can have a limited access over here. There would be certain restrictions which would be applied. You cannot generally, organization doesn't recommend it to use any kind of production solutions into the default environment. So for that, different instances has to be created, and that's where we go and create different instances, which is basically our dev environment, staging environment, or our productions. So these are the concepts. We just segregate the environments, and depending upon the use cases, whether we want to use it for development, whether we want to use it for the testing or the sandbox or for the go live of the application, we can have these kinds of environments being created. Okay, so whenever we log in, by default it will be a default environment or it will be a personal productivity environment. So just make sure that you switch over to the recommended environment based upon your requirement or based upon your use case. Okay, any queries? Okay, going forward, under the setting option, you can see there are different options. So one is the admin center. If you are having a required access and all, this is where we actually need to go and we need to manage all the features of the Power Platform, whether it's environment, whether it's the license, whether it's something kind of security role which we are going to define for the users. So these kinds of access or these kinds of management to the Power Platform will be performed using the admin center. Okay, so this is a place kind of a orchestrator what we call, or a control room what we call in the other tools. So this is Power Platform Admin Center, where we are able to manage the Power Platform services in terms of environment creation, assigning the roles, licenses, going detailed into the analytics of the platform. Okay, what are the different applications, what is the storage capacity being consumed, what is the error rate, and all those kinds of things we can just have it covered from here. We can get all those informations right from your billing, like what is the license which is being consumed, what is the monthly billing, and all those things can be extracted. But this Power Platform Admin Center, this is a separate license which it will be required for the admins, and accordingly based upon their roles they would be able to access these environments. Okay, now if you want to see what kind of license you have, okay, what kind of license is there, something which is assigned to your account, the account using which you have logged in, you can just click on the settings and then you can have this view my licenses options. So under this view my license option, you can see what all different capabilities or what all different licenses you have. So currently the license which I am having is I am having Power Automate for free, which is basically my cloud flows. One second. Okay, so I'm having these two licenses. Then I'm having a trial license which expires on so and so date. So whenever you log in, you can have up to 3 months of trial period for your RPA desktop capabilities. Like whenever you log in for the first time and you enroll for the trial version, 90 days free trial will be given to you, where you can learn things and where you will be able to create some UI flows, but you won't be able to make the full-fledged access or share it with other colleagues of yours. So this is just for the your learning and development purpose. You can use those environments. Those are not meant for production. The trial licenses are not meant for production of any solution. Okay, and then under the capabilities, I can use some standard connectors. I can have premium connectors, custom connectors on premise. So these are different kinds of capabilities or integrations which we talk about. Okay, so someone was asking about the custom connectors. Are we able to create some additional connectors to the application? So yes, those fall under the custom connector option. We would be able to create some services or some APIs calls to applications which has not been predefined into the Power Platform environment. Okay, and but before that, we have two other kinds of connectors available over here. One is your standard connector, which basically aligns with all the services which has been already integrated as a kind of free of cost. You do not need to pay or have some any other licenses. Okay, those services or those applications can be directly integrated using Power Automate Cloud Flows. Okay, so those are something which are called as standard connectors. We'll go through the connector details as well. Then we have premium. Premium connectors are something for which you need to have or you need to pay a little bit more for that. You need to have some licenses procured or you need to have some extra payment using which you will be able to uh, add these capabilities or connect to this particular services listed under the premium category. Okay, so we have certain Salesforce, RPA Power Automate desktop capabilities. We have some other external applications which comes under the premium connector version. A standard connector basically resides with SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and some other Microsoft services which are kind of free of cost and they can be integrated natively with Cloud Flows. Okay, so those are standard connectors. Custom connectors are basically like when you want to create some additional application interfaces, you want to have some APIs defined and connect it to the Power Automate. So that's something we'll create custom connectors for that. On-premise connectors, basically when we want to connect this cloud services to uh, our local machine, like we want to access the file system or we have a data gateway, on-premise data gateway. So all those kinds of on-prem connectors or on-prem data sources, if you want to kind of integrate our Power Automate Cloud Flows to this databases, it will be via on-premise option.
Guys, please mute yourself.
Guys, can you please be on mute? Okay. So these are the concept. Then we have the RPA, attended and the unattended licenses. So you would have seen in any other RPA tool that there are two kinds of deployment which happens. One is basically for your dev and the UAT instances generally use the attended mode where you have a kind of interactive session with the automations or with the bots which is being run. You are able to see each and every action which is being to executed over there. Okay, but generally in the production environments we go for the unattended run. Users do not need to have any interactive sessions available on the machine. It can be the bots can be triggered and it can run end to end autonomously. Okay, so those kinds of sessions are termed as unattended over here. So these two capabilities also we have with this trial license and all. And then to a certain extent, if we want to make our infra is scalable enough, okay, we want to have it like deployed onto some cloud machines, okay, virtual machines. Okay, so in those kinds of situations we can create a hosted environments where depending upon the requirement we can scale up and scale down the number of the bots which is being executed, number of parallel runs which we want to achieve. So those kinds of things are being achieved by the hosted or the hosted cloud, hosted environment capabilities, and that is something which is also available with the trial licenses. So these are something which are just available for 3 months, and more than I think 90 days, it easily suffices using which you can learn more or less all these kinds of concepts. Okay. However, there are certain capabilities such as the AI builder and the business process flows, which are not part of this particular license, for which you need to have some extra payment or extra license being procured, and then you would be able to utilize these features. But we'll guide you how we will guide you how to have more information around those licenses, what kind of licenses to be procured basis your need. So we'll give you all the details. Okay, fine. Clear with this licenses thing, how to look into like what kind of license which your account is assigned to. Any questions over here? Or Pratyaksh, you want to add something? If I
Yeah,
have missed on any point, if you want to add something,
yeah.
please.
Gaurav, what is process mining?
Okay. So process mining is a feature of Power Platform, okay, where basically it provides you a insight into your end-to-end process, okay. So basically, when you kind of submit your process logs or you have some process recordings, there is an interface where you can just submit it, and that will provide you with the skeleton with the insights, okay, that what is your bottleneck, what is the step where most of the time is consumed, okay. So all those inefficiencies, your bottlenecks, analytics of the process end to end, okay, what are those things which can be optimized in nature, okay. So all those insights are being provided. Now again, process mining is split into two parts, okay. One is the process mining where we have kind of end to end process, okay. Like consider if we talk about the supply chain, okay. So in the supply chain, if we talk about a certain kind of process, right from the process when it's initiated, when it is being handed over to a different person, then we have some kind of validations being performed, and then the final output. So that end-to-end process of a particular domain or a particular use case, no, is being analyzed using process mining, and it will give you a full insight, okay, that where all the points or what all the places you can look into to optimize it, where you have the automation opportunities, okay, and all those kinds of details around this process will be provided to you. So this is very much beneficial for the people when they are trying to adopt and when they are trying to find some use cases where they can like kind of create automations, okay, into their process. So it's very much beneficial for them. Did I answer you?
Yeah, Gaurav. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Pratyaksh, do you want to add something over here?
Yeah, so I want to add about the AI builder actually here. So like in the AI builder, what we will discuss about, let us suppose we have some documents that from where we want to extract some data. So minimum we need around 20 documents here so that we can create one model, and on the basis of that accuracy of that model, we can extract a data from the new PDF or a text related documents, and we can use that AI builder into the Power Automate, and we can schedule that flow accordingly, that if a new file will be come into the SharePoint through the mail, then we can extract the data from there and use it. Okay, so these type of flows also we can you create into the Power Automate through AI builder. Okay, but it totally depends on the model of the accuracy of that model that we are creating through, like how many model documents we will add into this model, it will give you the more accuracy then. Okay, again we have the copilot in the Power Automate also. Can you close this license part, Gaurav?
Yeah.
So here we have the copilot also. If you want to, if you don't want to, if you don't know about it, how what flow you want to create, so you can describe your details here. It will create one template here in the Power Automate, and then template here. Okay, so this is also very beneficial here in the Power Automate. That is inbuilt copilot you can see in Power Automate. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Pratyaksh. So just to add on to that, this is more kind of interface like many of the people we have already heard about what Copilot is, ChatGPT and all. So this kinds of makes you a very easy interface in case you do not want to consider that you do not know, okay, how do you want to create a flow in Power Automate. So you just need to type a prompt over here. What is your requirement? Okay, these are some of the suggested flows or descriptions which you already have over here. You can just put that, okay, let's say I want to, whenever a new item is created in a SharePoint, I want to send an email to certain recipients. Okay, so this kind of prompt, if I just provide it, okay, what is that what you want to do, so you can see already a suggested flow has been created for me, that this will be my trigger point. Okay, this is my connector or this is my action using which I will identify which SharePoint I want to check what is the site address. Okay, and based upon that, whenever an item is getting created, which all users I want to send out an email notification. Okay, so if you are not a very pro person as a code or do not know about the RP or Power Automate as a flow, you can just type your requirement over here as a prompt, and it will give you a skeleton flow. And now in this skeleton, what you all need to do is just go and update the addresses or update the parameters over here, and your automation is ready to kick in. Okay, so that's how easy it is with this interface. Okay, so we discussed about the environment part and the license part. Now, if we just move to the left hand side of it, okay, under the left hand side under the home button, you can see this Copilot option right at the very front and the center of the screen, where you have kind of, if you want to have some quick automations being created, you can just leverage these options. You can leverage the suggestions over here, or if you want, if you want to create something apart from this, you can just type the prompts over here and just click on generate button. It will create a skeleton flow for you. Okay, and then just add the parameters, site address or the email address, and you can just your first flow is ready to go. Okay, so that's the first part over here. Now, if you want to have some documentations, a bit of learning around it, okay, what are the different features or what are the different kind of capabilities which are available with Power Automate, you have this learning section over here. You can just go for different options. These are the documentations which are available, and basis the level which you are, either you are a beginner level or you are at an intermediate level, so these topics has been categorized and segregated as such. You can just try to go over these documentations and learn more around each and every offering of the Power Platform. Okay, if you just click, it will just open the documentations around it. This is just for example, I have opened optimize your business process with a process advisor. So it will just kind of create the whole documentation around it with certain examples, and you can just go and learn across. Okay, so this is a learning. If you want to explore more on it, okay, on the Power Platform, what is the pricing, what kind of different licenses which are available over there, what is the pricing base, what are the add-ons which I need to buy, okay, basis the requirement. What's the community forum like? If you want to connect with your peers, you want to have certain issues or certain concerns being raised, or you want to learn something, so you have a community forum over here using which you can join the discussions chains, and there people will be discussing on blogs on different kinds of solutioning which can be there, alternate solutioning, certain issues or bugs which are there, latest releases which has come across. So all those things are being discussed in the community forum. And if you want to go through the whole documentations about each and every feature, these are documentations. This is a one-stop link where you just want to click over here. It will be directly navigating you to the Power Automate, and you can go through all the documentations related to it. Okay, how to administer it, how to use it, what are the related contents, what are the best practices, the AI capabilities. So all the things are, you can just have the links already available over here. Once you go into that, you will start trying to learn more deeper and deeper into Power Automate. So the list of documentation is quite exhaustive over here. Whatever you want to search, you can just search from the documentations. They do not have a such kind of videos. They have kind of a plain documents available. Okay, So, but yeah, those documents are anyhow quite informative in nature.
So, Gaurav, as we
Okay,
have a
so
limited
this is,
time to discuss all the features on the Power Automate, can we go for the Power Automate desktop that we have a main focus here in this session, in these lectures?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah, Pratyaksh. So, yeah, we'll go to the Power Automate desktop as well. What I was trying to explain, just the basic difference, what is cloud and what is a desktop flow. I'll quickly cover that, and then maybe I'll just share my screen for Power Automate desktop, and you can take it over. Okay, I'll just quickly share them, like about the cloud flows. So under the cloud flows, what we're saying about the standard connectors and the premium connectors, right? So these are certain templates which are available. Okay. So anything which is related to like day-to-day business use cases or day-to-day automation. So those kinds of things can be easily automated. You have Outlook, you have Dropbox, you have OneDrive, Google Forms. So whatever the connectors which you name, okay, so those kinds of connectors are already available, and basis your requirement, okay, you can just type across, okay, what kind of automations you want to do, or you can just go into the criterions or the tabs which are available, and using which you already have certain predefined templates or the skeleton flows available, using which you can just automate your bots or automate the small business use cases. So this is more onto the cloud flow part, okay, where we can just have a small business use cases, or when we are dealing with the API or the cloud-based services, we use the cloud flow interface. Okay. So this is more, we will go more detailed and more insight into it, what all the features, what kind of automations which we can do, and how do we manage everything. So those are something about the cloud flows. Okay. Now, if you want to go to the desktop flow, if you just want to install it, first of all, the option to install the desktop flows is available over here. You just need to go to the create option. You have on the right hand side install Power Automate Desktop. Once you click over here, it will basically download the executable file for you. Just run the executable file and again run with log in with the same credentials what you have logged in using the cloud flow, and it will basically kind of connect your both cloud and the desktop flow environments. Okay. So I already have it installed over here. So whenever you have Power Automate desktop already installed, you can just search about Power Automate. Okay. And it will launch this application for you. Okay. So yeah, Pratesh, maybe you can just take it forward. Okay. You can just explain whatever and I'll navigate the screens. Okay. Pratesh, you are there?
Yeah, Gaurav. Okay.
Yeah, you
So
can take
basically,
it.
this is our Power Automate desktop dashboard that you can see here. So you can see here in the environment, this is that should be the same environment that we are using onto the cloud. Okay. And if you will click, okay,
No, no, fine, fine.
okay.
I'll just, for time being, I'll select it as,
Hmm.
let it
Okay,
be.
no problem.
You can
No.
just carry on. You can
Yeah.
just carry on, Pratesh.
So if you will click onto this my flows, here, there you can see your all the flows that you have created here. Can you click on return
Once.
button?
I think it will just ask for the passwords. Let me just provide it. What happened to it? Okay. Yeah. One second. One second. Let me put my authenticator code.
So guys, basically we have the solution part for Automate Cloud. So let us suppose you want to create any flow into the Power Automate desktop and you want to share in between two environments. Then you need to be create a solution for that, and then you can export that solution into the another environment. It will create a zip file. That zip file you can use it into the another environment. Okay. And but if you want to, yeah, someone wants to ask something.
One second.
Madhvi, can you please mute yourself? Okay, thank you. So And but if you have the same environment and but you have the two or three different users, then you can share your flows in between these environments. Okay. And if you want to see Sunny, please mute yourself.
Guys,
Thank you.
can you please ensure that you all are on mute because that creates a disturbance for the other
If you have
colleagues
any
also.
question, then you can unmute yourself and you can ask. But unnecessary, please don't unmute yourself. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So if you will click on this onto this, if you want to, okay, okay. So if you want to share your bots in between the same environment, then you can share it through the cloud also, and you can see your all the shared flows here in shared with me. Okay. Okay, Gaurav, can you click on new flow?
Yeah.
If you want to create a new flow, you can click onto the new flow. Here you can name your flow. Okay. So basically, we will cover the best practices that you should follow into the Power Automate that we will also discuss here. Okay. About the naming convention, about the variable naming convention, as well as how you can create the config file in Power Automate. We will discuss all the things here. Click on create. Go. Okay. So here, this is the dashboard of your flow where you can create your desktop flow. Okay. Yeah. So in the right side, you can see the variables. So we have three types of variables here that we can create: input, output variables, and flow variables. Okay. If you will click onto the UI, you can see your UI actions flows here. Here you can all the UI elements. And if you will click onto the images, you can see all the images that you captured from the Power Automate. You can see all the images here. Okay. Similarly, if you will see into the left side, these are the actions that you can, we have multiple sections here. You can see here, we have a variable section, loop section, scripting section. So these are the multiple section. In this section, we have multiple actions here on the basis of requirement. Okay. So here you can see we have multiple variables actions here that we can use it. We can drag and drop into this main screen and use it. It's not a hard and fast tool that we need to write some coding here. It's a low code, no code tool, as you know. So it's a drag and drop tool only. Okay. You can directly drag. Can you drag one action here in the main screen? Yeah. So this is a first action here that through that you can set your variable. You can name your variable here and write your value here in the double quotes. If you are passing into double quotes, automatically it will save it as a string. Okay, like Python, as you know. Okay. Also, this is, you can see here, you can remove double quotes also. If you are writing
So
Gaurav here, it will
yeah, so
automatically save it as a,
basically the idea is, as Pratyaksh was mentioning, whatever the type of value which we enter over here, it will automatically take that data type. So if I pass a string under double quotes, it will be a string type. If I just pass a integer, it will be integer type value. Okay, so no need to explicitly define any data type over here.
double click here.
Hello.
So,
Yeah. So Gaurav,
yeah,
I do
go.
have one question here. Can I ask?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
please.
Yeah. So, like in the other tools that we do have the data type of dictionary. So, do we have the
Mm-hmm.
capability of making the dictionaries also here in this desktop automation?
Here we can create a,
Yeah,
we can,
Pratyaksh, go ahead, go ahead.
okay, okay. Can you go on to the variables? Close this.
Mm-hmm.
No, in the right
Variable
side, go
side.
to the variables.
Okay, this side. Mm-hmm.
Right side. Yeah. Click on plus sign. You go click on input. So here you can create your variables. And if you will click on the data type, click on data type. So this is the data type of variable. other data type into in this Power Automate. So here, so in the UiPath, that is a dictionary. Here it is custom object that has a key value pair. Okay, click on custom object. Yeah. So this is a custom object. You can use it here. It is also follow the key value
You
pair.
can define the name and the value. Mhm.
And
So,
if you will click on the JSON editor,
mhm.
it will automatically convert into the JSON.
Yeah, so yeah, we do have two types of the variables, which is like the input and output, and the other one is the flow variable. So what is the difference like
Flow value. Yeah.
between these two?
So as the name suggests, input and output variables are those variables through input you can pass your input variables, and output you can see your results from this variable. Okay. But the flow
Hmm.
variables are the instance of your actions.
Hmm.
Okay. Whatever the actions you are using here, you can see here new var, right? So new var is the instance of this set variable that you can see into your flow variables.
So whatever the variable that we are creating, like by using this input and output, can we use like throughout the automation of these?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
It's a
So
global
like
I'll just
variables actually.
explain you over here. So I'll explain you what's the meaning of flow variables over here. So one concept of Power Automate is, okay, this is one bot or one automation which we are creating. Always it will start from the main. Now we can add some certain sub logics by creating certain sub flows over here. So basically we can just divide our logics into different blocks and we can create certain sub flows. One
yeah.
important concept of Power Automate is whatever the variables which you create, okay,
Hmm.
over here, whether it's a main function or your subflow 1, subflow 2, it
Hmm.
will be global in nature. You do not need to do any kind of a variable mapping amongst these subflows.
Hmm.
Okay, it
Yeah.
will be kind of global in nature. So each of these actions which you are using in this entire canvas or different subflows, okay, it will it will create some instances of your storage, like what we call as the flow variables. It will
Hmm.
store the data for you, and those are something which will be populated over here. Okay,
Yeah.
across it will be global in nature. Now the input output variable are more aligned to the concept of when we want to pass certain values outside the scope of this particular flow. Okay, like I have created a test name over here, automation. Now
Hmm.
there can be instances I want to call another desktop flow, okay, a kind of a bot 2 of this. Okay, I'll create bot 1 and then I'll pass some parameters to the bot 2 of it. Or if I want to retrieve some data from some other automation, let it be cloud flows or
Hmm.
from another desktop flow. In
Hmm.
those situations, we'll be using the input output variables. Input is basically to retrieve the value from any other automation, and
Hmm.
output is basically when we try to pass the values to the other automation, okay, or the other bot. So these are
Okay.
the two different kinds of variables. This has the scope when you want to move out of this bot, and this is the scope which is throughout this bot, okay, the instance of bot which we are creating. So all those variables will be listed over here in the input output variable. Okay.
Okay. So we do have the capability of like calling this Power Automate desktop through the cloud. Like suppose that we have some steps in the cloud and then we want to trigger the desktop automation also if we already have.
Hmm.
So like this capability also we have, and that part that we are using this input and output variable.
Yes, yes, we do have the capability, and that's one of the again strong interfaces where you can do some part of automation in the
Hmm.
cloud flows, and you can trigger your desktop flows, call it, and
Hmm.
perform the subsequent step. Now, one of the again important factors is all these triggers or all this scheduling of this desktop flows can be done from the cloud flows only. Okay, so we have different trigger mechanisms which we set in the cloud flow, and based upon those triggers, whether we want to schedule it or whether we want to put it as an ad hoc run, so those kinds of triggers are basically designed and maintained from the cloud flow level, and then we call this desktop flow for the trigger option. So we'll go through the details in our upcoming classes. But
Hmm.
every trigger for the cloud for the desktop flows has to be maintained from the cloud flow only. This is just your canvas where you can just create the automations, and under the debug mode you can run it and you can see what are the changes. But when you want to run it into attended or unattended mode, it has to be via the cloud flow only.
Okay. So in desktop
Okay.
automation, if we have the config which is in the XML format, So, like to fetch the parameters or the value from the XML, then how can we use these like the dictionary in the desktop automation? Do we need to use these input and output variables to make the custom variables, or like through the
Mhm.
flow variables? Is there any way that we can use the dictionary and we can use like throughout the automation by using that dictionary?
So I'll let Pratyaksh handle this. Pratyaksh, do you want to answer this on the config file read?
No, basically, that config file you can pass it onto the environment variable onto the cloud.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have one option here there in the cloud that where we can create the environment variables, and that environment variables we can use it into our flow. Okay, when we will create the solution, then we will discuss about that how we can create the environment variables, and if we will change the environment variables, how this desktop flow works like that.
Okay.
Okay, so basically from the outside of the desktop flow we can do everything. Whatever we are passing input and output variables, we can do it from the cloud only. We
Uh,
can create it
sorry
here,
for
but
sorry for
that
interrupting
we
you.
can pass it from.
Okay, sorry for
Sure, Ankush.
interrupting you, Pratyaksh and Gaurav. I think Gaurav, you can stop the recording. We have another
Yes.
session to get started with, right? So, sorry,